Yo, hey everyone, what is going
Up.
on? And thank you for tuning into this live stream. And whether you tune in live or after the fact, just thank you for being here. And I'm honestly hyped for today's stream. I was telling my guests that I've been waiting for this all day. Because being honest with you guys, if you haven't noticed already or seen past streams, I've only ever collabed with Blacktastic on my channel about respective movies. We've also joined Anthony A. Perez on his channel to
Right.
collab on movies. So it's actually great, man, to speak to you on a video call for the first ever time.
Yeah, man.
Um, but also just to talk about SARA, because I got to check out this early. I've dropped my review on the channel, so the link will be in this description as well if you want to check out that review, and also the trailer for SARA if you don't know anything about it. But Tajaya, how's it going today, man?
Man, life couldn't be better, man. Basketball season starts in a couple of days. My Lakers, my Dodgers are in the postseason, going for victory number 2 in a row for a championship, and my Dallas Cowboys are in first place. And Sarah comes out in less than 2 weeks, and I'm on live with my
Right.
homeboy Mike. What could be better?
Well, that's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah,
uh,
man.
Honestly, man, that's awesome. And yeah, I know you said that you've got the Dallas Cowboys game in a couple of hours' time. So,
Oh yeah.
not going to keep you too long today, just so you can get psyched to get in the mood, get some snacks or whatever you're going to do for the game.
There you go.
But yeah, man, one other thing I actually noticed, because I noticed that you spoke to Zeke a couple of weeks back on the Parasite podcast about
Right.
Sarah. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to get like an early screener to see the movie as well, and I dropped the review for it as well. But I noticed today that around a year ago from the release date of Sarah this year, you dropped The Comforter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost
and
almost a year to the date.
right, and I believe from that point when you dropped that up to present, it's got over 1,000 views as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Man, that's awesome, and must be such an achievement for like a smaller movie to get that kind of attention.
Well, yeah, man. You have personal goals that we all set for ourselves as content creators. My first film did about 400 plus, and my self goal was to double that. And the Comforter did. Now, my goal with this one is to double what the Comforter did with Sarah. And they're just small personal goals, but it shows that growth is happening and people are starting to, notice and dig my content when it comes to short films.
Right, right, yeah, and I think that, to be honest, I think that's a realistic goal to hit as well.
Right.
Um, and plus, since that time you'd launched the Comforter, you also hit 2,000 subs on YouTube, so massive congratulations on that as well.
Man, it's been a cool year, man. I didn't, you never expect anything like this, but when it happens, you're kind of caught off guard. But it's a welcome commodity, man.
Right.
YouTube has been good to me, man. What can I say?
Right. Yeah, and I actually spoke to Anthony A. Perez about this as well the other day. And sometimes you don't even realize the accomplishments, sorry, that you make on YouTube until you kind of like just sit down one day and think, oh, okay, so I've done this in a span of a year, or like X milestones being hit, and it's quite fulfilling when that happens. Um,
Definitely.
and especially as yourself, because I actually learned on Zeke's Parasite podcast that you do writing and publications, or used to, anyways. Is that right?
Still do. I still have my publishing company, Blacktastic Books.
That's it. Oh, okay. And do you have many published books? Because I generally didn't realize that.
Yeah, I have probably over 20 publications published. If you go to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles and type in Blacktastic Books, all of my publications come up of my own books and books I publish of other people.
Wow, I'm going to definitely check it out after this stream. The reason why I'm mentioning this, because it also inspired me, because in my spare time I like writing fictional books. So it's learning that about you as well. I was like, wow. uh,
Yeah, man.
an interesting fact. So for anyone that doesn't know, so Sarah comes out on October 28th and is premiering on your YouTube channel.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. So the link to Blacktastic's YouTube is in the description of the stream as well. For anyone that doesn't know as of yet, can you tell everyone what Sarah is about?
Man, Sarah basically is a gothic, tragic love story, and is also a ghost story all in one. And it takes place on a haunted pirate ship in Oregon, And the genesis of the story is years ago, when pirate ships and captains of ships looking for side work, they would help out by deporting slaves from Africa to the mainland and get paid money for it. And this particular captain, to his demise, fell in love with one of the slaves. And as you know, slaves don't have names anymore once they've been bought and sold.
Mm.
And it was a taboo. He fell in love with this woman, and he named her after his ship. His ship's name was Sarah. It was
Right.
a taboo, forbidden love. And once they got back to the mainland, people found out about it. They hung her in public for all to see. And the captain, they took him to his ship. They bound his hands behind his back and made him walk his own plank till he drowned and died. And it's his ghost that's haunting the ship, because when you die that way, tragically, your body's stuck in purgatory. So he hasn't accepted death yet. So he thinks that Sarah is still out there. So any woman that comes on his ship, he awakens and he's looking for his lost love. And when he realizes it's not her, things can go horribly wrong, let's just say.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to explain it. Because one thing I noticed as well, and I want to ask you about this. So with the Sarah and then the Comforter, they're both kind of based on kind of like paranormal or kind of like a ghost. Is that kind of your favorite like horror genre?
Well, it's the easiest. I love it because as a kid, those stories scared me to death. Anything dealing with ghosts or demons scared me. I can deal with slashers, but something that you can't see, but it has a presence, always gave me the heebie-jeebies, man, when I was a kid. And I'm
Right,
fascinated by that. And I'm also an old school horror fan. I love Psycho. I love stuff like the Twilight Zone. Big fan of all that genre of black
right,
and white scary films. So they tend to be more less of more visuals and less dialogue, and you learn about the situation by looking at the corners of the film and the corners of the dark areas and stuff like that. I
right.
was fascinated by people telling stories just with visuals, and you know, come on, man, some of the best movies are already in the past, and they take their time, they're deliberately slow, and then with any movie, the key is the third act has to pay off, or everything else doesn't mean anything. The
Mm,
movie could be boring or whatever, but if the third act pays off, you've done it. And that's what I do. I try to keep a slow burn and gradually pull you in, get to know the characters, and then when the end hits you, you're like, damn, I did not see that coming. Okay, cool. I like it.
right, right. And yeah, I definitely have to say that what you've just explained pays off in Sarah on that third final act because
Mhm.
um, I'm not going to obviously spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it because
Right.
it's due to come out in 11 days. But I loved how at the ending I was like, oh, like, shit, they actually went there. Okay. uh, and I admired that though because it was kind of like taking that risk and being like, well, you're not going to kind of expect to maybe see something like that at some points in this day and age. But I was like, wow, you did it, man, and I think it paid off for the better though. Like I'm glad that you actually went that route instead of because as you said, there's so many films that as when we're on YouTube, we see week in week out at the feed at the cinema,
Right.
and they have great first second acts. The third act is just awful, and it lets down that movie, and you come out thinking, well, that movie was terrible ultimately, and
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Like with this movie, Sarah, and also The Comforter, they did have slow builds to them to get to that kind of pinnacle point where it's like, right, okay, well, this is explained what's gone in the first couple of acts, and then the third act is that big payoff plus a post-credit scene, which I'll not spoil as well. um, but how long did it take you to shoot Sarah in general?
In general, it was shot in different times. Like the first time I shot, it took me a couple of days, but the
Right.
main shoot, when I went back to Oregon, it took roughly a week, about 7 to 8 days, and we're looking at 6 to 8 hours days of work, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
And I do a lot when I don't have the talent on set. I do a lot of exterior, interior on my own, and things like that. I'm really heavy into geography. Whenever a film comes on for me, I'm guessing, hey, what city is that? what state is that? That's just how my mind works. So as you can tell in my films, I incorporate taking my time, give you the landscape, because in the end, it means something to where a person's geography is at. Are they here? Are they there? So you kind of understand where they're running to, running from.
Yeah.
But Sarah, overall, I'm gonna say it took 2 weeks in general to do everything
Right. Right. Yeah.
because
And
this
sorry.
film was filmed in California. It was filmed also in Portland, Oregon. So it's another state over. So yeah, I have to make sure it was sunny and nice to go to Oregon. And there's some scenes that took place at a different time. That was a challenge when, you know what I'm talking about towards the end. That was a
Yeah.
challenge. I don't want to spoil the end, but man, this movie had his task. But man, I would do it all again just for the experience, man. It was fantastic.
Mhm. Yeah, and you can definitely tell throughout the movie, whether it's in whatever acted setting, that you can tell like the location use. And this is one thing I had praised heavily in my review. The location setting itself, you could tell that it was utilized the most as you could. Obviously, I'm not from America, so I don't know anything about like work permits or like shooting location permits, whatever you might
Oh
need.
right, yeah.
But I did learn that this was actually based because there's two leads in this movie overall, and I learned that do they own an island and own like this pirate boat, or what's kind of the background with that?
Yeah, Jamie, my good friend. I've been knowing her for over 10 years. She used to be a marine biologist. She used to come to California and do work. And we met and we talked because we shared the exact same birthday, the exact same day, different years. That's how we got close. And we always talked about, yeah, you should come to Oregon. I'm like, Oregon, it ain't nothing but trees and apples. I will see. I'm a city slicker. I finally come to Oregon all these years later. And you mean to tell me you and your family own 20 acres on an island and they own a marina?
Okay.
I'm like, what, you own this marina like in Jaws? And then okay, to top it off, no, not even top it off yet. You live on a floating house that's 2 stories. You
Right.
live on a
Right.
floating house. Like you go into the backyard deck. You're doing like this on the deck, man. And I look to my right, there's a huge pirate ship. I'm like, man, that's awesome. Oh, by the way, that belongs to my best friend. Oh, your best friend owns a pirate ship. And she came over later on that day to give me a tour, and I'm like, I'm blown away. And
Right. Right.
that's how my mind started to work. I said, man, if I love it, I would love to come back here and shoot a movie one day. And man, that's how Sarah got started.
Right. Oh well, that's awesome. So did you not have the idea for Sarah before visiting Oregon? Oh
Nope,
no.
not at all, man.
Uh,
You know, I didn't know what I was gonna do after the Comforter, but in between the time of finishing the Comforter and thinking of my next project, I went to Oregon to visit for about 4 or 5 days, and I said, man, this would be awesome. So I came back to California and quickly put something in my head about how can I use a pirate ship, a marina, an island? How can I make that all fit?
mm,
And so I came up with the idea of this ship has been around for a long time and the ship is haunted because man, I grew up on Scooby Doo. I love haunted ships. I mean, haunted houses are one thing, but a haunted ship is a totally different demographic, man.
right.
And so I used the tools that was before me to conjure up a story to make it fit with the props that I had.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and I like that about Sarah as well because, as you said, there's so many like ghost tales and ghost movies nowadays where it's all in like a mansion or just a normal, regular house that you clearly know something's wrong with that house. Um,
Yeah,
but actually on a ship itself, that is quite like an original take on the subgenre itself. So I
right.
admire that as well about the movie. Um, one thing I want to know, so when you obviously found out about this marina and then you found out about the ship and you're like, right, okay, great, this is a cool idea for to make a movie. Did you sit down with the two leads to pen the script or was the script just your own work and how long did that take?
My own work, man. It took me a couple of weeks. Me and my buddy got together, my buddy Ronald, and I gave him the idea, and he wrote some parts. I wrote some parts. We kind of combined them together, and then the script was a lot longer, much more pages because of COVID. I started trimming down the script. It was a bigger cast too because these two ladies they actually have friends that went to college with that are thespians, great actors and actresses. So I had more people in the movie, but COVID totally changed everything. So the script
Right.
was dumbed down 2 to 3 times. So just keep it really, really simple. I'm gonna go with more of a visual movie, and the backstory would be the backdrop of the film. And my last film had one lead. This one I had two, so at least they can interact this time. And so it
Right.
was supposed to have been bigger, but I managed to do what I could with what I had to work with, and it came out fine.
Right. Yeah, I think it came out great in terms
Oh,
of like but man, yeah, like I say, I generally enjoyed the movie and I like how, as you said, with those two leads, that there was that interaction there, whether it's just a simple conversation. One of the things again I praised in my review is that although it is just, two leads and they could just be having a coffee or they could just be watching a TV or out on the balcony, whatever they're doing, you feel like there's this haunted presence watching them at all times. And I really
definitely.
appreciate that, like, eye for detail that you had in doing that and making you think, okay, well, the ghost or paranormal entity as such is still there, even if it's for the day or at nighttime. Because a lot of ghost movies, you might be able to comment as well, it's just the ghost disappears for the day, and then at nighttime
Right,
it
exactly.
strikes. But I'm thinking, well, the spirit is going to want to kind of, torment you all day, every day, or at least give you that bad, eerie feeling that, right, well, actually, it's still there, it can strike at any point. And I generally
Definitely.
felt like that in this movie.
Yeah, man, it was cool. Like I said, it's a tragic love story. This ghost,
Mm.
maybe he means well, but he's a hopeless romantic and he's lost the love of his life.
Right.
So he does things to intrigue women to come onto the ship. Because as you can tell, because the script originally, the main character Stacy, she had just went through a breakup. She came to her friend to stay there for a while because her and her boyfriend were living together. And the script was more heavy about her lifestyle, about, yeah, it sucks to be single again. I'm a helpless romantic. And then she hears a story about the ghost and she calls and falls in love with the ghost story and goes onto the ship. I figured I think I can capture that without writing it out and talking about it.
Right.
And as you can see, when she goes onto the ship for the first time, she's like really into the ship. She's touching it. And that's all you have to do to awaken this ghost. And that
Right.
was kind of the main premise of her. The minute you walk onto that ship, I think I said it in the opening title card, be careful when you wander onto a seaworthy vessel because you
Mm.
don't know the history of that ship. And when she went onto that ship, she opened herself up to whatever happens next.
Right. Right. And yeah, you get that feeling as soon as she does enter the ship. You're like, okay, something's awoken. And you're right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. So you mentioned with COVID that you've obviously had to trim down the script because you had more cast, but obviously with restrictions and stuff.
Right.
I can imagine it was tough because, again, I'm not in America, so I'm not sure what it was like for you guys compared to over here. But there was a long time where over here, like everything was closed. You could only go
Oh
to the
yeah,
supermarket and that was it.
that's right.
Um, so with that in mind, is there going to be kind of a TLA like director's cut of SARA because of the original like script and there's more to it, or
Definitely. What I'm
awesome?
going to do for the very first time now. This is breaking news on Mike's channel. Did you see that? Um, I'm going to do a director's commentary of the film from beginning to end, explaining everything. Because I'm big on commentary.
Nice.
So when I'm shooting in California, when I'm shooting in Oregon, and I'm gonna do a whole solid commentary from beginning to end of Sarah.
Right, man. Well, firstly, thanks for sharing that news. That's
Yeah,
awesome. But also, I would love to hear that because I'm a big fan of kind of the commentary on movies, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever.
yeah, me too.
But like yourself, as we just said like earlier, for anyone who's tuning in, so we both like writing books in our spare time, whether that's very often or whether it's not, etc. But I admire like yourself and other like early screeners I've done on my channel recently, where it is maybe these smaller, like maybe first-time directors or even just trying to get like a short movie off the ground because I can't imagine what goes into that to start with. And I've just got to say, man, just very firstly, it's just that I admire that passion about you. And I honestly generally really appreciate that, because that is something that I would maybe love to take on in the future and learn about a lot more. But
Oh,
it's
definitely,
cool.
man.
But it's cool that yourself, yeah, you're on YouTube, but at the same time, you're like, well, actually, I'm not just going to stick to kind of the regular movie reviews. I'm going to go out there and put in poetry. I'm going to do history of music to educate people like myself. Like, I message you every time you put out a video and be like, I've learned something. um, and man, yeah, I just got to say that I admire you for that. Honestly, I really do.
Yeah, man. What brought me to YouTube obviously were movie reviews and movie channels for stuff like because I love cinema. And by the time I came to YouTube, it was the best kept secret, and now everybody does it. So you got to be really original with your content to really stick out and stay fresh and stay
Right,
competitive. Because everybody's doing movie reviews. So I'm like, okay, I still do them, but man, my biggest hits on my channel were all from original content. They kind of opened my brain
right,
up. My documentaries has done really, really well. My short films, history of music is really popular. So I'm leaning towards just shifting my channel over to more self-made material to put out there because I changed my name from Blacktastic News to Blacktastic Media over a year ago. Changed my website recently from blacktastic.net to Blacktastic Media. The media thing tends to stick. And basically, these three films I had in mind that I wanted to do, and the bookend would be SARA, was to put together three films that I can take to a studio and show them, or they can tune into my YouTube channel and see what I did. It's like a portfolio, you know?
right,
So a small studio might take notes like, dude, okay, he has something. He's doing something. So my YouTube channel is a force of communication with back and forth with people like you. We have the same interests, and also it's like a resume. Yes, I write, I do poetry, and I do short films because they're looking for the next talent
right.
for a really cheap price. And trust me, man, let's just say Blumhouse finally approached me to do a film. Dude, if I have a $5 million budget, you know what I can do with $5 million doing a
Right,
horror film? I mean,
right,
I'm doing this on peanuts and corn oil money, right? I mean, give me a cast, a real script, man. I can make $5 million stretch,
right,
and so
right,
hopefully people like Blumhouse will somehow seek me out and see what I can do because I think I can make it happen, man. So I'm using it as a resume slash portfolio to get my works out there. But yeah, multi-talented, man. I can write books. I wrote books. I do poetry, and dude, my YouTube
right,
channel has grown exponentially because of trying different things and taking new avenues.
right. Yeah, and you've got to, and I think that's probably the best way that you've put it in terms of building up a portfolio. Because
Right.
I mean, as a perfect example, what you're saying about, if you got scouted by Bloomhouse or like just another movie company, etc. For a perfect example is Paranormal Activity, the first movie that was on a $15,000 budget, which is, as you said, like kind of like peanuts in today's standards. It's nothing, and the movie amassed at least a good couple of million or
There you
100
go.
million. I don't know how much, but I know it was silly numbers.
Yeah.
um, but at the same time, again, I agree with you. You're putting this work out there, and if someone does stumble across your page, like a talent agency or whoever, they can be like, "Oh wow, well this guy, okay, let's see what he's done on say a couple of $100, for example, or whatever the budget is. I don't necessarily need to know, but now, actually, well, okay, let's give him a million. See what he can do with
Right.
that. And so just as a scenario, so say if Bloomhouse approached you tomorrow and said, "Okay, Tajaya, we've got $1 million. We want you to create a movie. Have you got an idea in mind of what you would do?"
Oh yeah, I got some other scripts that I've written that are sitting on my back burner that I can do. Or like most
Right,
movies, there's always been a short film like there's a couple of films that came out recent years on YouTube that were short, but they made into films. We can
right,
take Sarah and redo it again. We can take The Comforter and redo it again. It's not that hard. And with $1 million budget, The Comforter basically takes place where in a hotel. I can do that
right,
for $1 million easily and add special effects. Sarah, It might be a little bit different, but the locations and stuff are still there. I still know the people. We can go back and make it grandeur with more people, more script. And I have another story I wrote called oh, I forgot the name of it. But man, I got like 5 scripts already
Right.
done that
Wow.
I know on $1 million budget, I can make everything work, man. All I need is distribution. And with streaming nowadays and places like Shutter, hell, like even Blumhouse sold one of their films to Netflix. Or I think was it
Right.
Netflix or was it HBO Max? And so everybody's making money, man. And they're looking for the next cheapest way to get the film made because now Hollywood, I have a cousin that writes professional scripts in Hollywood. And right before I started filming SARA, The Comforter landed me my first professional script from Hollywood. So I still have that.
Right.
Anthony Perez knows about it, and some few other people know about it. So it is working. And in Hollywood, man, they're using cell phones to make films, dude.
Right.
The industry is changing. All these gigantic cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, if you're making a blockbuster, you need to use that. But small indie films, man, they got gigs now for cell phones to make these films.
Right. Yeah,
And
I
I tell,
agree.
yeah, and when I tell people, how did you make this film? What kind of camera did you? Man, I made all these films on cell phones. All 3 of my films were made on a cell phone. They still to this very day can't believe it.
Right.
And use what you got to get what you need, man.
Yeah, because I actually remember, because it's an interesting point. I actually remember, I think it was maybe around 2017, 2018 time. There was a movie on at the cinema. I think it starred Claire Foy. I can't remember the title. I did go see it in cinema, but at the time, I remember, I think it was shot all on iPhone 7.
Yep,
And
I
that
remember.
got a cinema release. I don't know how well it did at the box office. But you're right, because the phones nowadays have as good quality cameras as like a low budget movie, and like Shudder and Netflix, for example, they're always looking for films to bring to the platform.
Yep,
They might put like a very attractive poster on that movie, but the movie itself might be, not great.
low budget. Yeah, yeah.
Right. But at the same time, an interesting fact that you've brought up, and I mean, even Anthony is commented on the stream saying, "Give this man a chance, Blumhouse." So we've all got
Right on, right on.
so. But the interesting thing though is recently yourself, myself, Anthony, and Rashad got to check out "Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain," and that movie. We've all spoke to the directors, and they've clearly stated that it was shot on a low budget. And then now they've announced that they've made it onto HBO Max.
Right on. Yes.
So it goes to show, man, as you've said, like, with the Comforter, that's kind of got you like that little edge in Hollywood for now, which could, explode any day, really.
You never know. Yeah.
Just takes that time. So with SARA, so kind of just getting back onto that very quickly. What I wanted to ask you was, with only kind of 2 leads in this movie, was it a bit of a struggle when you're rewriting the script in terms of the rest of the cast, or how were the rest of the cast supposed to plan out that was supposed to be in this movie?
Oh man, it was totally different in the beginning. It was going to take place on a college campus. A teacher talking about this old slave ship, blah 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 blah. Hey, is that the same ship that's over there in Savi
Right,
Island? Yeah. So you had a group of girls getting together, having a campfire at night, talking about ghost stories, and they were all going to try to venture onto the ship.
right,
So it'd have been like more than one person going onto the ship. Would have been 2 or 3, and maybe one would have survived. Maybe all would have got killed. So it would have been more of a witch hunt with groups of people going onto the ship. That would have been a
right,
difference of the story. I always dreamed of having a campfire setting, people talking around, s'mores and telling spooky stories. I still want to do that one day,
right,
and just people getting picked off one by one in a small
right,
tight area is so much fun. So that was the main thing. I would have more people, and they would have learned about SARA more so in a college setting in a classroom. And they said, "Hey, this weekend let's go check out that ship," and it would have been different that way.
right. Okay, I would have also loved to have seen that side as well, because like yourself, I'm kind of a fan of those movies. I think the most recent one to kind of do well, not that exact thing, but was Fear Street, I believe, Part 2 on
Oh
Netflix.
yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of the
love
camp,
that.
yeah, like that camp kind of setting, like kind of give me vibes back from like Friday the 13th. And
Yeah,
those kind of movies, as you said, it's, you know, probably pretty to an extent easy to do, where it's just kind of one or two locations just around a campfire telling these stories, or breaking off into mini stories, someone explaining like, oh, you know, the reaper or something's been around, etc. So I love to see that. So with the director's commentary that you've announced on the channel, do we all get kind of like an insight of maybe when that's going to be coming out, or are you going to give it maybe a couple of months after SARA to release that? Or
I'm probably gonna do it when Sarah comes out. Probably give it a few weeks
right?
and see how the film is doing, and and to keep the energy going. Probably maybe around Christmas. You know,
Okay,
going into New Year's. Give it a couple of months to stabilize, and then come out with something to keep the energy going. And
right.
because man, I got a whole lot of stories, man, behind this film, and it was a task. But man, when people learn how hard it was or how fun it was to do something, you gain more of appreciation for the film, and hopefully
Right.
that alone will bring more attention back to Sarah, because I'm hoping this film does well and get some kind of recognition for me, man, because I had a good vision from the beginning, and like I said, only 11, accounting you, only 12 people seen this film, only 12. And
Wow.
since I
Okay.
finished it, and so majority of you guys did reviews on it or interviews and or left comments or whatnot. So it's been kept under close wraps. And I particularly chose people who would be critical. I don't want to get my
Right.
buddies, oh man, your film was the greatest. No, man, if you find things that could have been better, or you think you should have been better, hey man, have at it.
Mhm.
Because it's like having a baby. You have a little baby, you holding it. Hey, you got to release it into the world one day, buddy. And you're not
Right.
going to be successful if you don't try and go for the gold, man. And constructive criticism is the best teacher. You can't take it personal. It's just take it as, okay, when I see the film, I could have did things better. I'm like, man, I should have did that. Damn, but it's too late. It's out there in the universe, and
Mhm.
you learn from each project how to get better. It's like your YouTube videos. Each one you grow. Go back a year, you're like this. Oh man, that's terrible. Damn. But you get
Yeah.
you get better. You age like a fine wine. But
Yeah.
I'm confident. No one said this film sucked. So I made
Right.
I made it that part. I was like, okay, at least no one says it sucks. So I'm pretty
Right.
confident. It's a C grade or above, and I'm proud of that. And also, man, just hopefully it gets a following on YouTube. Be one of those urban legends on YouTube, man. You seen that film, Sarah? Man, it's free on YouTube. Let's check it out. And
Right.
hopefully it grows with popularity and word of mouth.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely think having those reviews out early is good, because at the end of the day, like I said in my review, I didn't really have many criticisms for it. The only ones I kind of had was a little bit the camera work, but at the same time, I referenced in there, nothing against you. It was just a case of I didn't know you had maybe a permit where you could maybe shoot at a certain extent, or maybe couldn't. You know, you had to have maybe like a lower down shot for, you know, one or two
Oh, that's it.
scenes. And that's what I meant by like in my review, because again, I'm not in America, so I don't know if you weren't allowed to shoot like the next door's building, so that's why you had to have it like at a lower length, just as an example. um and yeah, I think it's crucial to have that feedback, because as you said, if everyone's just like, oh, the movie's fantastic, well done, phenomenal, you're never going to learn. You're going to take that into your next movie and be like, oh well, it worked for Sarah, it worked for the Comforter, I don't need to change anything.
Right. And what I'm trying to establish is a style, because every director, like you see a Christopher Nolan film without any dialogue, you can tell by the shots alone that's Christopher Nolan. Steven
Right.
Spielberg, my personal favorite, Spike Lee. I can tell by the camera angles alone that's a Spike Lee joint. So I'm trying to create my own mystique. If you watch one of my films, you're like, oh, that's a TLA shot right there, or that's because I love using Dutch angles. That's when the camera's tilted to the side a little bit.
Right.
And when people don't realize, you're telling a story without saying anything. Like when the camera's tilt, I'm telling you as a director, something's not right. That's why everything is off tilt.
Right.
Something that you're looking at is not right. Or just foreshadowings. I mean, you might see a spider going towards its nest. That's telling you something is about to happen. Little small touches.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Alfred Hitchcock, another one of my favorite to follow and mimic after. And you got to just find your own style. And with the 3 films that I did, even within myself, I recognize my style of film, how the camera moves, how the camera pans. And when I get reviews, y'all say the same thing. Dude, your camera work is excellent. So I feel good about that. Or your frame, how you frame a character to move from this angle to that angle, you know, it's important. And
Yeah,
if you do
I
if you
agree.
do the yeah, if you do the technical things right, all you need is story. So
Right.
it's kind of cool, man. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, and I say I would love to put a project like that together, man. That would just be awesome. So
Yeah.
for anyone that does check out Sarah, which comes out by the way on October 28th, so the link will be down below in the description box of Blacktastic's YouTube to check it out. What would you want someone to take away after watching this movie?
Well, hopefully I can touch both men and women. I kind of know how guys think. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of cool." For men, the film might seem a little slower for men. Then the end is like, "Oh shit! All right, buddy, you did the damn thing." For women, I think they would be more into the film from a romantic standpoint. I think they would appreciate the slow burn, like, "Oh, I'm really into the story." Then when you get to the third act, they're gonna be horrified what happens. So, and you've
Right.
seen the film. If you have a best friend, if you have an interest in artifacts, ancient artifacts, all that stuff can play in, and hopefully you learn that be careful of the people you keep company with. Be careful when you venture into a place that you know nothing about or you think you know something about, and you never know the history of a place where you step foot at. Always ask questions and stuff because there are consequences in every choice you make in life. And
Right.
that's the whole history of Sarah. And for me personally, being African American, I like talking about Black history. And to tell a story about a white man falling in love with a slave, to me, is a beautiful thing. I think
Right.
it's love has no color.
Right. No, I agree. Absolutely agree. And I like how that is told in this story. And I think it's represented pretty well as well. And as I say, I definitely admire you for that third act ending. That's all I'm going to say for anyone who has not seen this movie.
Yeah, I went balls to the wall, man. I mean, you gotta take risks. You gotta have shock value, and
Right.
I felt that
Right.
like, damn, because it's foreshadowed. If you watch it the second time, you're like, okay, it's kind of foreshadowed, but in this day and time and era, yeah, I took a big risk. It
Right.
was fun though.
Right.
It was
Yeah, I
fun.
bet. But no, it's awesome to see that like what your vision pays off, and I'll definitely be
Right,
watching the second time round to keep an eye out for that to see it was okay, maybe it's this point in the film that foreshadows that, etc.
definitely.
So one last question I want to ask you, man, before I let you go, because I
Sure.
appreciate we're very constrained. Is what is next for Blacktastic Media besides what we see on YouTube? Like, what films and stuff have you got in the pipeline?
Well, currently I'm filming another documentary about Compton. I
Okay.
was in LA about a month ago. I'm gonna go back one more time to finish up. But this will be I have a series called Compton's My City. I did 2 seasons.
Yes.
And so now I'm doing a feature length documentary. It'll have a lot more detail and a lot more on set location. It's going to be mind blowing. So that's what I'm working on filming now. I'm also working on another documentary about a guy I went to school with who's a human beatbox who won contests all over the world. So you
Wow.
talk about old school human beatboxing and stuff. I'm doing a
Yeah.
documentary about that. And then as far as my next short film, right now I'm kind of like in neutral. I have a idea that I pitched to Q Reviews
Right.
about. I want to do a film about a werewolf. I love werewolf,
Hmm.
and give you a short summary. It'll be kind of like a werewolf in Compton. Rashad G gave me the
Wow.
title, and to give you a compliment about the people we keep. Man, Q Reviews is amazing.
Right.
He, he can
Right.
do practical art, special effects, and he can make masks and suits. So we're trying to construct now a look for a werewolf. Already got permission to film in Compton, and if I do my next short film with a little bit of a budget, most likely that'll be it. It'll still be a short
Wow.
film, but it'll be a werewolf in Compton.
Wow, man, that would be awesome. Q reviews. I mean, he's just so talented.
Dude,
Especially like
yeah,
CG work and stuff like, and just how he puts his videos together. Even just a general movie review, you can tell that the quality is like the forefront right there. And it could just be him
right.
just sat in a chair talking, but that quality's there. So I can't imagine what he would do in a short feature or even a big feature, whatever he does. So I'm excited for that. I'm sure anyone who's watching or after the fact is excited as well. Anyone on your channel or anyone on my channel learn about you as well for the first time. Because I have teamed up with Blacktastic before on the Terminators. we, we've basically teamed up on terrible movies besides a class act at this point.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
just a heads up for anyone as well. Now next collab, more than likely with Blacktastic, is going to be in the Michael J. Fox filmography, which I'm going to be bringing to the channel very shortly. And we're going to be talking about Stuart Little. So I am excited to talk about that movie, and it's going to be great to
definitely.
have you on, man. But Jai, I just want to firstly thank you so much, man, for taking your time out to even talk to me. Um, really, really appreciate it. And again, it's just so nice to actually talk to you for the first ever time on the video as well, and just Instagram messaging. So that's really
Right.
cool. Uh, do you have any final words, my friend, for anything you want to say before we go?
Hey man, I've been watching your growth on your channel, and I noticed you taking an approach to doing original content. And man, I admire that. You and I are kind of like one and the other because movie reviews keep you steady, but reaching out and doing different things, and you really have a love for Michael J. Fox. I love how you honor that man to this very day, man. He's lucky to have a fan like you on your channel, and I learned a lot from you about him from watching your videos, man. It's cool, and
Right,
you don't mind taking risks. You don't mind stepping out the box and doing different things, man. And you're gonna be successful because you're willing to take risks. And anybody watching this live stream right now or later on, if you have a YouTube channel, you're kind of like in the crossroads, take the next step, man. I'm living proof. Mike is living proof that taking that leap of faith does pay off, man, and you will
right,
be successful. And I tell people all the time, it's not about the views, not about the likes. If you touch one person with your natural talent, you've made it. You took
right.
something from in here and touched somebody with it. That's that's a gift within itself. Now, if it happened to be 1,000 or 200, whatever, dude, you're on the path of success. That's all I can say.
Right. Yeah, well, firstly, man, thanks for the compliment. I really, really appreciate that. And I say this quite often. So, seeing yourself and Rashad or Anthony Perez or Q Reviews, I think, continues to kind of get me inspired because I like yourself. I like doing movie reviews, but I also love talking about Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, or even if I'm going on an adventure day, kind of a sneak peek that I'm going to be bringing to the channel very shortly, again something different. I'm actually going to be
Yep.
building some Lego on the channel.
Oh, okay, cool,
um, that video is probably going to come out very shortly because I'm going to ask for
nice.
feedback if you want to see that on a live stream or a time lapse build. However, it's a hobby of mine, so I want to bring that to the channel as
Learn
well.
something every day. That's
And
cool,
again,
man.
just like yourself, man, something original, something that's out there. Where for me, what excites me about your channel specifically is when Blacktastic Media puts a post out, you do not know what's coming next. It could be a movie review, it could be a series in Compton, it could be a short movie, it could be anything at this point. And that's what I try to bring to my channel as well, where they're like, oh wow, well, okay, well, what's Mike gonna do next?
Right.
We don't know. So it keeps that kind of engagement, even if it's one person, as you said, they're gonna be like, what is this person doing next?
Yeah, man. That's why I changed my channel to media
Right,
because you never know what I'm going to do. You don't know what movie I'm going to watch. I might go old school and do a retro, and I might do a vlog just let you know what's going on. And lately, man, I'm enjoying doing these interviews because they're engaging. And
right.
with Sarah specifically, man, I've been promoting this movie for 2 months. Man, this was like working for a damn studio. I'm like, man, I can work for Warner Brothers or Universal, man, because I feel like a miniature studio. The 4 trailers I made and cut myself. I did the music. Every promotion and poster you've ever seen from Sarah, I made myself. And I said, okay, I'm going to do early screeners like major studios do. And
Right.
so if you treat yourself and take yourself serious, which I'm doing as a studio, Blacktastic Media, man, it feels good when everything comes full circle. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you right now because of a short film named SARA that I did,
Right.
you know? And
Right.
it's man, it's gratifying. That's all I can say.
Right. Yeah, I can only imagine that it's so rewarding to see hard work paying off and just getting the chance to give someone a screener like myself, even to be like, right, check this out early before its initial release.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, I'm just gonna wrap this up. But I just want to say that on October 28th, put the date in your calendar if you need to, or a reminder on your phone. Sarah does come out on the day. I'm not sure what time at this moment in time. That will just
Um,
be there on the day.
yeah, East Coast time, it'll be right at midnight.
Right.
If you live on the West Coast, you're gonna be lucky because technically it comes out on the 27th at 9 o'clock at night if you live on the West Coast.
Right.
But East Coast time, midnight, Sarah will drop Halloween weekend, and hopefully um, the jump scares to get you. Hopefully you'll be engaged by the story, and by the end you're gonna be like this. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
damn!
Yeah. I think they will. I think so.
Awesome.
So yeah, as I say, it comes out October 28th. Make sure you do check in. And also, as I say, in the description box below is Blacktastic Media's link for his YouTube. Go subscribe to his channel. Give this man some love and go check out his movie. And again, Tajaya, thank you so much for your time. And this has honestly been a
Anytime.
blast.
All right,
But
my
yeah,
man.
all right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in live after the fact. And we will see you later.